Hey there, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I was just making my tea and I wanted to share with you because we had so much fun with the Moroccan tea a couple of weeks ago, right? I brought out some Moroccan tea. There was this little shards of look like glass, rock sugar. And you gave me so many suggestions to be able to go down so many wonderful rabbit holes of research, right? And so I thought I would give you guys, I have the same pleasure, right? If you wanna geek out and look up some things, some fun things. As you know, from the beginning of time when I was diagnosed, there's only a few things that were in my control, and that was my nutrition, movement, and my mind. So from the very beginning, I did all of this research about things that were good for my liver, very specifically, because my whole liver was, flooded with cancer. And then I kind of built it from there over the years. So this is, let's check this out. So this is a root combination that I have made in the vein of trying to make it taste like root beer. That's my inspiration. I want it to taste somewhat good, but it is steeping roots for 15 minutes. I don't add any sugar to it, so you can play with it, do with what you'd like. But this, the first thing that it contains is sarsaparilla. So sarsaparilla, I discovered they use it for rheumatoid arthritis. So I thought, hey man, I've got cancer in the bones, maybe it'll help, right? Also used for digestion, which colon cancer, I'm always looking for something for digestion. The other thing, which I began from the moment of time, was licorice root. I discovered is a wonderful cleanser, a detoxer for the liver, so that's included. Dandelion root, another one, detox for the liver. I've used that for years. And then cinnamon, right? Not just because of the antioxidants and antimicrobial and all of the good stuff that they say that cinnamon has, but it's supposed to be anti-inflammatory. So you can see where I'm going with this. This is my little concoction. The last thing that's in here is this thing called cramp bark. Now I'm going to put this whole list in the description for you so that you can take a look at it and geek out. But cramp bark is supposed to relieve pain from muscle cramps, right? This is I mean, I've always, you can solve everything as much as possible, obviously not cancer, with food. So again, sarsaparilla, licorice root, dandelion root, cinnamon bark, cramp bark root makes this lovely concoction that I drink every single day. I have a cup, I steep it for 15 minutes, and again, you can play with it if you want to add sugar or honey or those kinds of things. I just kind of enjoy it for what it is. Have fun doing research. Yes. Do you want to tell everyone that it snowed in Chicago? Yes. And so we're cuddled up today inside. Hugging our tea. Yeah. I don't know where you are in the United States, but this whole week has been a lot of excitement for a storm that really didn't produce. Pardon me. As you know, I went east this week to visit with my sister. My wife went west into the mountains to go skiing for a week. She wanted to give my sister and my nephew some time alone. And I wanted to make sure that she took advantage and had a little fun. So East Coast, West Coast. But remember, we had to be back for my brain radiation on Friday of this week because I literally, the treatment, you can only do treatment on an MRI within the 30 days that the MRI was taken, okay? Friday for me was the very last day that the existing MRI would be valid. So I had to make it. And we, which I had no fear, to be honest. Two reasons, really. Because my sister retired from the military. Like, I told her I was coming. I needed to be back from Friday. She's like, we'll just buy snow tires and chains and we'll just drive across the country. I'm like, yes, we will, right? And the second reason is because as backup, my friend Eileen Donovan lives on the East Coast. And I knew that if I called up my friend Eileen, who is a badass Marine helicopter pilot, awesome woman, she would also come and make sure I got back. As a matter of fact, oh my God, did I ever tell you the story of when the vaccine scarcity first happened, right? Vaccines first came out, but there was a huge scarcity because they were, making them as much fast as possible. They were prioritizing them for people like myself with a terminal illness and the elderly. So somehow, I got an appointment at my kick-ass oncologist, Dr. Shika Jane, got me an appointment, and it landed on the day that we had like the largest snowstorm that Chicago saw that year, or actually in many years. Not what they were predicting for this week, but a real snowstorm that actually shut down the city. But of course, I had a vaccine appointment, so I was going to make it. And this is the wonderful thing about, because I've been thinking a lot about choices, because I went back to see my nephews, and we had a really lovely talk, and so I have chosen to put energy into getting to know my neighbors. I have a lovely woman next door, a lovely 70-year-old woman from India that cooks for me every week. She's so wonderful. I have neighbors that surrounded me that we've been, interacting for the last, 10, 15 years. And that day, my neighbors came out with shovels and they were like, we will take down the alley. And it was really beautiful, to be honest, because all of a sudden, like, people just kept showing up, and it was like, Nicole has a vaccine appointment. That literally was like the alarm that went out to my neighborhood friends, right? They'd work a miracle. We get on the road. I literally, get to the stadium where they were doing this. And I get there. Well, half the people couldn't show up. It was a snowstorm, right? I was wondering if they would be even open. But, power to the medical team that is always taking care of us. They were there. I was there. There was so many empty slots. And this was back in the day when if you didn't use the vaccine, you had to throw it away because it needed like certain refrigeration or something, right? This was like I said, this is vaccine scarcity time. Well, I asked, hey, if I get my wife here, who is not infirm, is not of the age of not, but if I get my wife here, will you give her a vaccine? And they kind of hemmed and hawed because, the rules were what they were at the time. But I was like, so you're going to throw these away. Let's be honest. You're going to throw these away, right? If I can get her here in the middle of this freaking snowstorm, will you give her the vaccine? They said yes. So who do I call? Eileen Donovan. And somehow, in a snowstorm that shut down the city of Chicago, that woman went out into the world, showed up, picked up my wife, brought her for a vaccine, and took both of us safely home. And it was amazing. And that was a beautiful day of community and knowing that you had lived a life well lived from the response of your friends, right? Anyways, that's why I knew if I was not giving up this trip to go visit with my sister and my nephews. I wasn't going to lose the opportunity. You know, all fall, I've been making plans. Cancer's taking it from me. Fuck that. I was going. I gotta say, it was rough. I physically was, my right leg just decided like it just didn't want to work, and it was in super uber duper pain. I had to pull out my cane, which, to be honest, wished I had my walker once in a while, making it through that airport and getting to my sister's. But my wife was, she was like, babe, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, if I can do this on sheer willpower, it is gonna happen. I wanted to prioritize it because I was having skull radiation, head radiation this week. And you know, you never know how you're gonna come out of that. But also there's a very real, very shortly, I feel like there's a very real time that we're going to be transitioning into enjoying our time together. And I'm kind of, I kind of wanted to take this this opportunity this week to kind of start that process. And by no means is this I'm giving up, I'm changing my mental approach whatsoever. I don't feel defeated. There's conversation that's happening in my head, and there's conversation that I'm having with myself, and that my wife and I are having together, and that is we have always said since I got diagnosed, you know, the most important thing to me is that we figured out a way to shit rainbows. We figured out a way to find every day like something that made being here and going through this crazy freaking treatment worth it, right? And that's because I knew that you need to do that in order to survive. I knew the torture and all the possibilities of what we were about to embark upon, because sadly or awesomely, I've had the ability to you know, raise my hand over the years and help out friends that have died of AIDS and cancer. And so I knew that it's, you know, so much right here, and I didn't want to give up, right? I didn't want to give up any time left on this earth. I don't know, overwhelmed by the sadness of it all. I just feel like I would just be pissing away an opportunity. And that's kind of what we've been talking about, is that we made that decision very early on, but we've been ducking and weaving. We've been ducking and weaving for 5 years. For 5 years, right? I mean, shit, man. You see me dancing in a unicorn onesie. That was me preparing myself to walk in the door to radiate my head, because, you know, I already had conversations with myself about this. I feel fine with it. Like, all of that deep hard work and fear and all that stuff has already happened the first time that we did this, right? So this wasn't that, but there's still a lot of anxiety, and I will do whatever I need to do. And today, or that day, yesterday, I pulled out my unicorn onesie, and I danced. really into little John Baptiste, his album We Are, when I'm in the lobby dancing in this moment in time. I don't know, it gives me a little, anyways, as you see, I'll do anything. I'm gonna walk into the chemo on Monday. We're gonna keep see if we can push this body forward, but we have a very rare opportunity, and I really want to move into that space of no longer operating in terror. For 5 years, we've operated under terror. We've tried to survive. We tried to thrive. We've tried to grab on to whatever beauty we can, and I'm just kind of moving into this space with whatever time I have left. I was asked by my friend Natalie in the first year of diagnosis. A lot of people ask me, my friends, what do you want to do with the time you have left? How do you want to spend your time? And this is the thing. I never got to answer it because we've been ducking and weaving. There's something so appealing about being able to prioritize my wife and myself, and choosing to only expend the energy that we want on that chosen family, that tight circle that's around us, that's going to be there with us as we walk this path to the end, and enjoying time taking time to reflect on it. My wife and I've led an amazing life. I mean, my God, I was raised on this tiny speckle in a little village in the freaking hills of Pennsylvania, and I have traveled the world, and I had dinner at the Kensington Palace. I broke bread I was invited into a home in Syria to break bread over Ramadan. I've hiked through the jungles of Thailand. Like, I've had a beautiful life. My wife and I have had an amazing, incredible life together. We wish so much that we had more, but we have, and I want us to take time and reflect upon that, and it's why I chose to go back and visit my sister and my nephew, and say goodbye to my nephews, to let them know that I'm gonna absolutely continue chatting with them, texting with them, and phone calls with them, but it probably was the last time that we would see each other in person, and that's by choice. I don't, if I'm well enough, this miracle train keeps going, somehow science keeps me alive, and I've got my dancing shoes this summer, sure, I'll go visit with them. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity to be able to let them know how much I love them, how honored I am that they allowed me to be their auntie, and that they chose me too, It was a lot. It was, what you can imagine, emotionally and mentally, how do you package up everything? A lifetime of love and wisdom that you want to impart in a brief conversation. I just focused on letting them know that I love them, and I hope they make good choices, and I hope they're good men, because they are. I hope they continue along that path. It was weird. It was weird walking around my sister's house and thinking this is the last time I'll ever see it. And again, this is all by choice. I don't want my nephews to see me sick. I don't want them to see the breakdown. I don't want them to be here for that. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's gross. That image of seeing someone suffer through these diseases like this is it replaces so many years of awesomeness, so many years of vibrancy. I refuse. I refuse. Then again, I didn't want to shy away from this, even though this was really hard. It was. I cried on the plane all the way there. I cried and laughed with my nephews. I cried on the plane all the way home. But I didn't want to shy away from having the opportunity. And I think that that's the space that my wife and I are kind of moving into. I think our friend Annie, you remember Annie, she died a year ago this month. But you remember Annie 2 years ago. Our Rainbow Glitter Warrior tribe, we did a stomp for Annie because she was going to my miracle doctor and he was going to operate on her liver, and he did. Gave her more time, and it was amazing. We sent all that energy to her, and then last year her time was up, and we also sent her loving energy. She was an amazing woman. But one of the things that she really, she was a beautiful woman, and the way that she chose to handle her death was remarkable. And as she always said, we have an opportunity to make this be our finest hour. And I'm really looking forward to taking advantage of the time that I have been given to make this be my finest hour. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end. I want to share some reading material with you, a podcast, some listening material also. We have been, I don't know, I kind of feel like trying to shit rainbows, right? I feel like my sister when COVID hit. My sister is a Gen Xer, and she was in the military. When COVID hit, it was her finest hour. She was prepared. She had all the toilet paper. No, but I mean, like, for real, she was so ready. She wasn't scared at all. It was great. And I am kind of looking at, as I'm trying to figure out, what does it mean for this to be my finest hour? Somehow I have maintained the ability to make choices in my life about how I want to continue proceeding through it. And so I'm going to grab onto that. And I want to move into the space where, like, you know me, I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to figure out all the tools. I'm going to figure out all the resources I need. And then, science willing, wills this body into this spring. I'm going to take some time to marvel at what a wonderful life I've led and enjoy what's left with my friends and family. But in order to get there, I have to have plans, because we can't just, imagine the shit's gonna happen. I'm gonna end up with no treatment options and just be like, happy-go-lucky. I'm okay. I'm just accepting it. No. I need to put the work in, right? For me. lay the pathways. So I have a bunch of reading material that I want to share with you, because we've been talking about pain management, because I definitely need to figure out what all the possibilities could look like, because as you know, there is the very real possibility with this disease that I am going to suffer like a motherfucker, and I want to manage that as best as possible. So in the coming weeks, so you know, I have an appointment with my palliative pain care, so I can figure out what are the opioid narcotic options that are available to me, because I've chosen to not use those for the past 5 years, just simply because I wanted to be here. I wanted to be here with my wife, and I know all the perils of managing yourself with this disease with those drugs. But now's the time. So I'm going to meet with them and figure out what are those options. I am going to meet with in the state of Illinois, marijuana is legal. I am going to meet with a medical marijuana bud tender to talk about all of the options, all of the different vehicles that marijuana comes in, to be able to utilize, not just for pain management, but also, relieve anxiety, sure, but a little fun. If I can find a way to use it for the health benefits, and an hour or two here or there that I laugh, great, right? So those two things are coming up. But in the meantime, I've been doing some reading, and one of the things I want to share with you is the book Breathe. Breathe or Breath? Breathe, I think. The New Science of a Lost Art. It's by James Nestor. I will put this in the description so that you have it. I think it's a really great book that just introduces you to the concept of utilizing your breath to regulate your body. I'm a huge believer in this. I was introduced to utilizing your breath 30 years ago in my travels in the Southeast through Qigong and other things. Came home and created this whole, I just kept exploring and got into, some hippie yoga stuff and some other stuff. And I am a true believer that you can do a lot with your body, with your breath. When I walk into the oncologist, they take my blood pressure. Every single time, if your blood pressure is too high, they don't give you chemo. If it's too low, they don't give you chemo. So I have it's literally, if they'll take it and it's too high, I'll just give a wink to my wife, do my breathing right on spot every single time. Great. So I believe it. I don't know about you, your mind, your body, but this is a great book to get you started about the whole concept of what can happen. There's also a breathing a podcast that I utilize that has 20-minute sessions of just breathing your way through this situation or this situation. Check it out. It works for me. And I think, both of those, plus if you do any research about somatic therapy, tools for somatic therapy, somatic exercises, geek out, go down a rabbit hole. Those are the tools that over a decade ago I was introduced to figure out how to take all of the survivalist skills that I had figured out, through living through the trauma of our childhood. I wanted to turn those into superpowers, and I did, and it was through recognizing the science behind rewiring your brain, teaching your brain different pathways. The brain radiation that I did on Friday, all of my breathing for the past several months, all of my meditation, calm down breathing, bring yourself into a space, I've been doing off of a very specific playlist. And the reason being is because I wanted to train my brain so that when I heard that music, no matter what was going on, if I didn't have time to catch my breath, whatever, I wanted to train my brain right? So that it would have this body response of relaxation immediately. It works. I got into the bed for to radiate my head. They put this playlist on, my whole body just went limp. But I put the work in to train it, right? So somatic tools, rewiring your brain, breathe. That's a great book. The other one that I'm reading right now is The Comfort Crisis. So I'll put that with a couple of different articles and podcasts that you can, if you want to geek out, really trying to move into, I'm not going to live in terror. I'm not going to live in fear. For the last of my days, as long as I have time to make choices, I'm going to make this be my finest hour. I don't know what that means at this moment, but I'm trying to figure it out. And I think the Comfort Crisis talks about how, unfortunately, Americans, we're just trained to ignore death or fear death, or I don't know. We just have a really strange relationship with it, and I want to challenge that. And my wife and I want to make it. We want to make this be by our choices, and so we're gonna figure out what that means. So all of that is reading material for the coming weeks, because I'm gonna need your help as I figure this out. What does all this mean? One last one for fun. I read this book. It's called The Fish That Ate the Whale, America's Banana King by Rich Cohen. This is no rhyme or reason that I'm suggesting this to you other than it was well written. It's an amazing story about how this guy found this lovely perishable fruit, and he figured out the pathway to bring it to the United States when it was ships and trains, and it's just mind-blowing what this man was able to accomplish. And it's a great story. So just for fun, if you want, check out that book. Of course, I'll have it listed. And all right, I will see you next Sunday. As always, thank you very much for being here, for joining me on Sundays. I appreciate it more than I can tell you. All right, see you then.